Hello and welcome back to the TrekCraft server. Yeah, this will be another update on the ongoing process of building out the Enterprise D. So, yep, on the last one I started working on the phaser strips, and I'm proud to say that I'm kind of happy with how they turned out. So we dropped down, whoops, I went down too far. Chris, you gotta love this. Okay, there we go. Come on, there we go. Come on, yep. So yeah, this is the upper phaser strip. I'm pretty happy how it turned out. It goes all the way around the saucer on the upper side, and I tell you, this took an entire day to do both the upper and lower phaser strips here. So if we buzz on down here, I cleaned out all of this area here. I think I mentioned it in a couple of episodes a while back. Anyways, there's a bunch of stuff in here, and I cleaned it out. They wanted to have a hole. They can pull it out and create what they're going to create. I pulled the turbo lifts forward because they were behind this wall here, but they look better out this way because catwalk. And then Panic wanted me to rework this area here. Panic didn't want the rooms being right on the grotto. He wanted to have like what Creeper did with his grotto on his Enterprise refit. So they basically what we did, we pushed the rooms back and pushed the corridor out on both of these decks here. So we have VIP quarters here and up here as well. Whoops, right up in here as well. But these could also be repurposed for like something to do with the grotto, like shops, kiosks, things like that, or turned into like barber shops or clothing, whatever they do with grottos. But yeah, anyways, so I'm hoping that they base a grotto here off of like the Singapore airport because that is very large, very very large indeed. But anyways, bounce on down here to the lower phaser strip. Beep, beep. Come on, there we go. So this is deck 12 or deck 11. Anyway, I think it's deck 11. Anyways, it could be deck 12. I could be wrong. Anyways, but I went through here and I laid in the phaser strip through here. It's all laid in. And again, this took, boy, both of them took a full day. I after doing them, I was done. I was like, I'm gonna take a break, and I did. Anyway, so what I'm thinking about doing is down here on this deck, here, gosh darn, there we go. Okay, we're gonna slow down just a bit. Up through here, where I'd already marked up Jeffrey's tubes and things like that, I think this is where I'll put the power conduit that goes around the inner part of the saucer, and then from there they can be routed, via, you know, means up through the rest of the ship and whatnot. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And if we bounce up here, uh, over here, this has been implemented into the ship now, so the power conduit actually comes down here and then it feeds into this one or this one, depending on which of these layers we want to use, and we can use both of them. Doesn't really matter. We need to do one or two. But all of this has been implemented through here and everything else. And I made some mistakes when it came to, I was copying out the decks and copied them into the drive hall, the whole deck, say deck 8, deck 9, deck 10, and I messed up the drive hall, so I had to go back through and spend most of the day unmessing up the thing that I messed up. And glad to say, I think I got it squared away. So I've been working on how I'm going to layer out all of this stuff here and layer out, but basically build out and whatnot. So in order to do that, I had to build the phaser strip for the drive hall, and this is what I ended up coming up with for the phaser strip for the drive hall. And this was all broke. I broke all of this when I copied in decks 8, 9, and 10 from below. And I updated this and didn't realize that I didn't update the decks below before copying the decks below back up into here, because I do a lot of work on the decks below, then I copy them back up here. Now I got to copy all these decks out. It's a fun process, redundancy. And I was tired, or I wasn't thinking, I don't know, but it seems like you make your mistakes when you're not, thinking fully. But yeah, anyways, so the phaser strip comes down through here, kind of layers up, and if we go out of the ship here down to the bottom here, eventually we'll get there. I think it's over here in the front. Actually, it's behind us. Right here's the phaser strip. So I pulled it out just on the off chance that somebody else might want to use it for another enterprise build, or just kind of design off of it. And while I was doing that, Calvin said, "Hey, I got something to show you." And he showed me this beautiful thing here. This is his structural integrity field or gravity generator, whatever it is, but he let me copy it over here And this is a Kelvin component, and it will probably, I think it's a countermass, artificial gravity countermass sort of a thing. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna look at that oval. Woohoo! Anyway, so that's gonna eventually find its way up into the build here. I had to move these decks up, and that's when I reworked this area here, and then of course I copied them back into the ship without realizing that this section back here hadn't been updated yet. As you can see, it's all pretty much old materials through here. So I got to copy out a lot of the neck area and the primary hull down here to decks 10, 8, 9, 10, and I think this one's good to go down here, deck 11, deck 12. So this is deck 11 right here, and this is deck 12 right here. So I've been going through cleaning up these decks here and getting these decks. Yeah, this is deck 12. Getting these laid out and sort of finalized and things like that. I have made some changes, and if we bounce up here to the neck area here, if I can get to the right spot, it'll be a very campy camper. Gotta go up and up one more, up down two more. We'll get there eventually. Um, uh, hmm, 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 hmm. There we go. This is where I want to be. Okay. Yeah. Gotta fly around. I wasn't happy with how this deck was set up because beforehand you'd have to step up here, come around, then step down into this area here. And I didn't like it. I felt that these turbolifts, the reason I had to do that was because these turbolifts came to the center and they came down here and they came down here and they went all the way back to that turbolift system right there. And no matter what I did, I just did not like the way it looked. And I wanted something a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more tidy than having a big turbolift going through the center here and having both of this lounge cut in half, because this is a pretty big lounge, and I didn't want to cut it fully in half. I wanted to get it as large as possible. And even if, say, wanted to turn these into crew quarters, I can now do that if I wanted to. I can run a corridor down the center here, and then I can repurp these as crew quarters. You know, this right here, this section right here would obviously be open because you have those windows up there, and you have to go up the stairs to get to them, to look out them. It's just the way that it is. So what I did is I decided to get rid of the central turbolift through here and then add the stairwell. That meant I had to find a different way to path this turbolift to the back. And what I ended up doing is if we fly up here, um, we go this way here, we drop down here, I added this, I rerouted all of this area here. All of this area got redesigned. So now it just flies back this way, and then of course it can go up like so, and then routes back along here. This is all new, and then down, and it's connected to these aft turbo lifts through here. This is already existing, so as you can see, it's all tied in now. It's a little convoluted and little ups and downs, a little lefts and rights, but it is what it is. This is, all part of the process. You have to make compromises, and sometimes when you're designing something out, you you have to kind of put it where you can put it. And this is pretty much dead space. It's all engineering stuff anyways, so this is the best place to have route the turbo lift back. Now I could have gone forward, all the way forward, but then I would have come into this area here, and I didn't feel like, doing it this way. It was just easier to do it back here where it was already, going down and whatnot, and just take advantage of this shaft right here. So that's what I did. But yep. So I'm down here. I'm working through this process here. I've got the phaser bank area pretty much the way I want it now. It's just an engineering area, so kind of, as you can see, it just sort of stair steps up into the upper part of the as the phaser strip goes through these decks. They're kind of open, so you can get in there and work on it. Now this area right here, I'm still wrapping my mind around it. I'm not really sure what this is per se. I think I know what it is, but I'm just sort of kind of mocking it up as just leaving it like this, giving some space in between it, and then I have this wall right here. And at some point, I'll probably get rid of all this green wool here and really just go in real tight on this. I I got to talk to a couple of people about what they think this is and how big it needs to be, and At that point, I just don't want to make any guesses, but I have an idea what it is. But I'd write, just a chat with the folks beforehand before I do anything. And if it is what I think it is, then I have plenty of room to work with it. It's just, not going to be very big. It'd be kind of like that phaser strip up there, but slightly different. Anyways, I'm working down here on this deck right now. I just routed this Jeffries tube and fix that real quick. Make sure it's not down on the side. It is. We will fix this as well. There we go. This way it's 2 by 2. Gosh darn it. Thought I fixed that. It did not. Okay, let's go back over here and fix this one. Doesn't matter how many times you work on something, you will always find something else to do with it. Now it's 2 by 2 all the way down. And I'm not sure yet if how I'll route this, because right above us right here is one of these magnetic couplers or latches that connect the primary hull and the drive hull together. So we can either make these big magnetic couplers, or we can come up with a really neat system that, they scissor into position, scissor out of position. But for the most part, we're going to make these big magnetic couplers. So you have latches back here, up here. You have these latches. This is a very large ship, so bear with me as we work our way up here. All right, so we have these connecting latches. These are locking latches. In other words, these physically go up into the primary hull and lock the primary hull down. And then you have these things right here, which are power couplers, basically wireless charging. They're just like a wireless charging pad. And there's 4 of them, 2 on each side, and they connect the power system from the primary hull to the drive hull, and from the drive hull back to the primary hull. And then you have all these other latches, which are just heavy duty, like think of them as rare earth magnet latches. And these things latch onto the front of the hull and magnetically couple it. So they're magnetic couplers, and there's like 4 of these. And then there's a couple of them that are just basic access points, like Jeffrey tubes. So those make up the balance of them. So we pretty much know what all of these are going to be. We just have to design the system for them. Now, when it comes to these latches over here, I have an idea what I'm going to do with it, and I think for the most part, they're going to be a sealed unit, and that's kind of what I'm marketing it up to be, as a sealed unit. And work our way back up here. So what I did is I did a sand drop all the way around it to get the pattern. And as you can see, there's the pattern. And even with the sand drop, it actually looks pretty good that way. So you can see where I'm going to go with it. I'm going to build up around it and everything else. I've already started on this one here, just when I kind of thinking it out. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to layer it. So this will actually come up a little bit more, probably to there. I may not do that, but this whole area here would be like it's a base unit, so it'll be raised up off the floor, so something like this. And I'm not sure yet if it's just going to be a single block like this color here or what, but I can mock it up and we can always go back through later on and do something with it. And this way here, it's actually somewhat anchored to the hull, and then if I want to, I can just build a silo around it, like that. And then go all the way around it. And this unit will be enclosed inside of its own airtight cylinder and stuff. And then, of course, we'd have access points to go in and service it and whatnot off to the side. But that's basically what I'm going to do. So this is all going to be enclosed, and I'll have this floor raised and everything else. So this area here, if we do go into it, you'll step up into the area to work on these things. But for the most part, these things will be not visible unless you go inside of the area to look at them. Now I could, if I wanted to, I could make part of the wall transparent. It's like every other beam or something like that, make it solid, and then the rest of the space just make it like a transparent aluminum or something like that, just so, just for, show purposes, aesthetic value and things like that. Not really sure what I'll do yet, but it won't be one solid color. It'll be different colors, because that's one thing I've learned from looking at like other people's builds. They like to mix up the color palette a lot. I'm more of a solid color guy, just flat colors here there, but they like to add a lot of hidden detail to things. Walls have detail, floors have detail, and if you've seen some of Creeper's, especially now that the videos have dropped, the first couple of tour parts of his refit Enterprise, you can see that the detail he puts into everything from the floor to the ceiling matters. No half measures there. They are they're very detailed, and that kind of makes it so when we work on things like this, we want to be as detailed as possible. Again, this system was designed by Calvin, so and he's working on the Picard season 3 finale episode Enterprise. So basically, it's a one-to-one similar to Halkun's original size Enterprise, and he's having a lot of fun with that. And okay, that scared me. Somebody lit up a big fireworks right outside the window here. That was an unexpected thing. But yep, so going through and I will finish up working on this, and at some point I will get the power conduit routed. And I believe that's either the deck above us or the deck below us. It's right here, deck below us. I'll get all this in, and I'll start building the systems for this, and then of course I'll get something similar to this built in the drive hall, or excuse me, the primary hall, and move on from there and work my way down into the drive section because I'm almost done with the neck. Just some more revision work down through here. Finish this area up. Determine whether we want this as a big lounge or crew quarters. Not really sure yet. And work our way down and everything else. So, anyways, now that the neighbors are playing with explosives, I think it's time for me to go ahead and get out of here. And I will catch you in the next video. Y'all have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye bye.